So this is a review of the Billings model boat kit for the slow motion. A little play on words there, kind of fun. Anyway, this boat was famous for being the fastest thing on the water in the 1950s. By the time 1952 came along, it had hit 178 miles an hour on what's now an antiquated sponson system, but then, of course, it was state of the art. So this review is going to deal with a few of the problems that I ran across while building. Several people had complained about even being really, really careful, but they still ended up with twist in the boat. And of course, if you have twist, you're going to you have to apply rudder to even the boat out, and pretty soon it's like dragging a dead cat. So where that twist, I think, comes from is their system involves this spine, and then the frames are all notched in to the spine and glued. And then once they're dry, you flip it over and install this 1/4 by 1/4 stringer. But that's pretty stiff, and these frames are all loosey-goosey. So by the time you bend this 1/4 by 1/4, every time you bend it, it ends up moving both sides because the frames are just floppy. So it's sort of a recipe for disaster. Then the next step is you put stringers on the top side, and the same thing happens then. These frames are all loose and wobbly. So what I did was I got a setup board, and I glued the frames down to the board, and I put little blocks in to keep the spine from moving. And then I made a block for each one of the frames, and I put them on each side so that the frame can't wobble while you're trying to bend on the stringers. The other advantage was with these frames rigidly in place, it made it really easy to block sand. Here's kind of a blow up of the area, but you can see the spine, a couple little blocks. Those were spaced about every 8 inches, and then these blocks are what would hold the. So anyway, bottom line was, it really worked. There's no twist at all in the boat. It's completely flat. So it was a big success. So that was problem number one. Problem number two is kind of illustrated by this. It's a beautiful shelf queen, that's for sure. But look at this edge here. Right here, you see how it cuts in and out, in and out? It's not a perfectly uniform curve. It drives me kind of nuts. And the reason for that is that when you bend this piece and you're bending it in 2 different directions and then securing it at the ends of the frames, every time it hits a frame, it causes a hiccup or a scallop. So what I did was I used 1/16 by 1/8 planking, and I put those on here and then sanded it. So I got a perfectly uniform surface, and then it allowed me to then put that skin on, and so it ended up perfect. So this is the skin now over the 1x2 planking. When you look down on it, you can see that the curve is perfect. There's no hiccups, there's no scallops, there's no stuff to get you pissed off. So that was problem number 2, and then I started putting on the sides, and I looked at, oh my gosh, that's a notch I cut, but there's no notches in there. And when you put the bottom on, you can see that this thing, there's no way that a 32nd of an inch you're going to do a butt joint. And look at how loosey and that is just a disaster. There's the gluing surface, only a 32nd of an inch, disaster. So what I did is I cut in a stringer on each place where the surface changes direction. So you end up with really solid, because you've got a gluing surface underneath there, and a gluing surface underneath there, and so pretty good. So I'm really confident that that's going to work, and it'll hold together at 50 or 60 miles an hour. So that's the first part of this review. Those are the problems I've come up with, and I'll do another review. I'm sure there'll be some other issues I'll deal with down the road. Thanks for watching. Bye.